Welcome to ParksCenter with apparently no music tonight. That's going to be okay. We're going to get over that part. I appreciate you guys being here. If you have not already, please make sure to subscribe to WDWNT TV for more great content and click that bell for notifications. Also, if you have not already, please give this video a thumbs up as it helps people to find us. And we have put together quite the panel for you tonight, including Allison.
Good evening, everyone.
And Alicia, who seems to be a little frozen. She's a little shy. She'll be back later. And of course, for the very first time, without piano, Mr. Piano Rob. How are you?
What do you mean without piano?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Is that going to be a thing?
It's always. I mean, it's always there. It's a crutch if I need it. That's what it's there.
That's amazing.
Well, you should have actually played us in then, because apparently something happened with my intro music, so it's all good.
I didn't know there was a problem until that happened.
We have no on my end about a second ago, so I'm just happy to see you guys.
Yeah, we have no problems, only solutions here on ParksCenter. So again, thanks Rob, Alicia, and Allison for being with us tonight. The first thing we want to get into is some Parks news that has happened in the past week, and one of the things was an earnings call that happened with Mr. Robert Iger. You know what? When Bobby came back, I was like, you know what? This is going to be great. We're going to have Bobby in. And he was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut a lot of things. And I'm like, oh, hashtag not my Iger. I was a little bit upset by that. And then, you know, there's a lot of things that we wanted to see him fix. And some of the things got fixed in little bits and pieces here. I have some thoughts on the numbers that have come out. Now, one of the things that we saw was that the overall, the Parks and Resorts reported 13% increase and an $8.3 billion revenue for third quarter. But there was this headline that said that the international Disney parks were shining while the Galactic Star Cruiser closure and lower attendance caused domestic destinations to, big word, languish. Allison, I'm going to go to you first because you have all the big lawyer words. Languish. Do you feel like that they are languishing?
I do. I mean, I think that we're seeing like a pretty rapid slowing of attendance and growth. And when you look at Iger's remarks, he's kind of shining it up a little bit, or trying to, but like that, you can't deny that that's what's happening, that there are fewer people coming. They're finally giving some discounts to try to get more people in the door. But like, I really think what's happened is like so many people after like pent-up demand during COVID that plan to take their families once every 10 years took them in the last 18 months. They came, it was super, super crowded. It was super, super expensive. And they're like, we're not coming back. And so Disney's experiencing now for the first time, ooh, we've got to get them in the door. And so we're seeing the revenue slow. And the only reason like the earnings are as high as they are is because the ticket prices are as high as they are, and not because there are so many people buying tickets. So I think we've wondered for years, like, well, they keep raising prices, but people keep coming. So where is it going to stop? And we're like, I think we've reached that point, and Disney's panicking a little. And I think that's healthy.
Yes, maybe we're going to see a reset on that. You know, and again, I'm looking at these numbers, and these numbers kind of are across the board, and they tell me all kinds of different things when I'm looking at them. And obviously, when you have numbers, you spin them to sound the right way for you and whoever you're talking to. Obviously, they're talking to the stockholders and something like this. Rob, you're there in Florida. Have you noticed that the parks look like there aren't as many people there as there have been in the past? Or I still feel like they're crowded, no?
I feel like they're crowded too. I was always curious what that happy medium number is of what's the ticket price that's going to kind of get people to stop coming, but you maximize your money for them. I feel like they feel they're leaning a little wrong the other direction, that they raised too many prices. But I don't know. I do feel like the parks are always crowded, but I will tell you, there are some days where I feel the weekdays are emptier. I think so. Maybe you're getting more drive-in traffic on the weekend. I don't know. I don't know, man. But the numbers are going in the right direction. I feel overall for the company. It's here. It's Disney World in Florida.
Here's where I think the numbers get tricky: is that with the international parks, they're saying that they're up. But when you dig in a little bit and you find out, well, they're up over a quarter where they were closed because of COVID still. They were still feeling those residual effects of COVID, whether it was Shanghai or Hong Kong. They still had some closures like that. It's up because of the Disney Cruise Line, and they did add the Wish, so they've added something. And then on top of that, people are probably feeling more comfortable now than they were a while ago about cruising. So, you know, you've got a lot of these factors that I think weigh into the whole thing. And again, they're kind of massaging the numbers to look the way that they want them to look. I remember that the day that the parks reopened after COVID, the Walt Disney World parks, I was there, and you could roll a bowling ball through Frontierland and hit no one. Which was fantastic. And then, you know, Allison, as you said, a lot of people started coming to the parks. There was nowhere else to go. You couldn't do foreign travel. There were a lot of things that were happening in the parks, and they were so crowded that we had reports of the line to Splash Mountain, look it up, kids, was backed up to the line from the Haunted Mansion. And so, you know, those kind of things that were happening, we were just like, oh, there's too many people. They had the parks reservation system. Allison, do you think that at this point they could get rid of the parks reservation system if what we're looking at is that they no longer have a crowding issue? I hear rumor it may be going away, but what are your thoughts?
After the first year, they don't seem to have used it to limit attendance at all, or to attention. It's just like giving them some data, but it's not actually doing anything for figuring out how many people should be in the parks. So it's not really serving a purpose beyond giving them some data ahead of time. And it's super annoying for everybody. So it should not be there. It is one of those things that like makes people angry, and is just like yet another thing you have to think about, especially if it's not something that if you're not used to taking a Disney vacation. There's no real reason for it. Get rid of it.
So, Alicia, when we were talking about this before, I know you were like, I don't want to look at all these numbers. Tell me though, your thoughts on that when you see these numbers, let's not talk about the numbers themselves, but when you see the domestic parks are down, what do you think Disney has to do to turn the corner and make it right?
Well, I think that the prices for prices, something has to be done. It's getting really, really expensive. Especially when you're looking at, Universal, which for Disney World is, just 20 minutes down the other way of Orlando. And they're not seeming to be hurting. So I think something just financially needs to be done. People aren't making as much money, the inflation's there. And Disney's really expensive. And I mean, they've been giving out hotel discounts, but that really truly only does so much in my opinion. So,
hey, hotels are $900 a night, but we're going to give you a 10% discount. So that's going to be great. Yeah. Any final thoughts on all this, Rob, before we move on to the next topic?
I mean, not really. You covered it. There's no reason to come to Disney World right now. All the other stuff, you have new cruise lines. They're adding stuff, I feel, in other places. There's nothing extra special here, and you kind of price gouged everybody for a little bit. Like all the extra lightning lanes, everything else. So I think that's the problem. Money needs to be spent here, and they got to stop nickel and diming everything.
Wait, they nickel and dime everything?
You don't think so? Everything's a la carte now.
No, I was
absolutely
being sarcastic. Yeah.
I'm
sorry. I'm super hard to read.
You're so dry, Rob. You're so dry. I got to get used to it.
Sorry. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you. It's one of those things where we've been looking at it, as Allison said, all along, going like, when's the ceiling hit? When do people say enough is enough? But we called it revenge travel at the very beginning. People were like, I'm traveling because of COVID. And then, I don't care about COVID. I'm traveling anyway. Where can I go? Well, you can't go to Newsom's, California. Sorry. Guess where you can go? You can go to Walt Disney World in Florida. And then at the same time, you couldn't travel overseas. Those things are starting to open up. People are getting other opportunities to do other things in travel. So again, I think the numbers are a little skewed. Bob Iger did say these were, they were still higher than pre-2020 numbers. But again, I think we stacked the deck in 2020 when we said this is the only place that you can go and feel safe about it. That was the other thing too, is there were other places you could go. I mean, you could go to Nashville. It was wide open, but did you feel safe about it? I don't know. I did it anyway, but I'm just saying it's one of those things where at Disney you always feel like they're gonna take care of me. We're gonna be safe there with COVID. We talked about the 100 million times around the time of lockdown, but we'll see in the long run. How Disney responds with all this stuff. I just hope it's not raise the prices more, take away more things. That seems to be like the Chapek way. and again, I hope Bob Iger is not doing the same thing. I hope that he's going to go and look at this and say, look, it's moving in the right direction. Let's not panic yet. Let's keep going in the right direction. But I do think the ship has to right for the consumer at some point, because we're just, it's too much. Let's move on to Tiana'S Bayou Adventure, because I feel like I would like to talk about this every day until we get it open in 2024, if everybody else is cool with that. No? Nobody? One of the things that I thought one of the things that I thought was interesting was that we had this story about the one in California, the Disneyland, that the weather vane was still holding on at Tiana'S Bayou Adventure with the construction. Actually, this is the one in the Magic Kingdom, that the weather vane's still holding on. But this looks like the serious stuff is happening. Although when I look at this, it kind of makes me sad. Because when I used to look at this, and I'm excited, I'm going to be optimistically excited about Tiana'S Bayou Adventure. But Rob, I'm going to throw this one to you first. When you come around that corner and you would see like the big mountain for Splash Mountain, like the tree on top and all that stuff, it was pretty cool. And now it's like it looks a little empty. I'm hoping that the theming steps up a little bit. But I mean, it looks like they're definitely in full construction mode, and it does definitely not feel like Splash Mountain anymore.
I agree with all that. It's still a ways off, so I'm sure they're going to be putting a lot more stuff there. I wish they put something on top of the mountain. It doesn't look like a mountain. It's like a little hill. I agree with you. You turn that corner. Now, also, you don't have, you have nothing coming down the log flume yet. I mean, maybe that'll add more ambiance to it. But I do agree. It looks tiny. Honestly, it's the difference. Like when I turn the corner in Disneyland, and I'm like, that's the castle versus our castle. It's like you took away the mountain right now.
Yep. No, that's a good point. Allison.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this weather vane a lot, because I thought as soon as that thing went up, like as soon as the post went up about it, and Disney was alerted to the fact that there was this weather vane still there that they hadn't yet removed, I thought it was going to be gone in like 4 hours. And the fact that it's still there makes me think that this is like the Magic Kingdom's Yeti, and they're like, we don't have a ladder high, like that's large enough to get up there. But yeah, we'll see how it looks. I mean, things can come together really quickly once they start like putting some ornamentation on these things. So like let's see check it in 3 weeks and see what it looks like. I think it's going to be developing and starting to look a little bit more Bayou like imminently.
Yep. All right, Alicia.
I'm sad, and like I understand why we're obviously updating the attraction. I get the reasoning behind it. I'm cool with all of that. I think now that we're starting to really see these changes come in, and then you see like the old weather vane, you're just like, oh, what used to be, and now you're looking at the moss, you're like, oh, this is the future. Like I'm sad. I'm nostalgic for what was, and like I'm gonna miss it, and I'm still not completely sold on the theming fitting in Frontierland as it is. So the more I see it, the more nervous I get, but we just have to keep watching. I can't, make final judgment until it's open and I get to write it and see everything, in one picture, and then I'll make my final judgment.
Then you'll okay. Will you email me when you make your final judgment though? That'd be great.
You'll hear me screaming probably. I'll call you on the phone and I'll just be like, Rob, we gotta talk.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. Let's move on to this. And you know what? This was a seemingly harmless post, and yet for some reason it set me off. So you guys can walk me down the path and put this back right for me. Disney's Hollywood Studios closing early on October 17th for a private event. That's fine. I love private events if I get invited to them. But when I'm not invited to them and you're making my day shorter, you're not going to make it cheaper for me that day, are you? Like, are you going to make my Hollywood Studios ticket cheaper that day because my day ends at 6:30 or 6:45 or whatever? Probably not. The park will close for day guests at 5 p.m. Okay. Well, guess what? The same night, there's also a Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. Okay, well, I can't go there either. So, and then Animal Kingdom closes early, so I guess I'm not going there. So let's all meet at EPCOT, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Allison, talk me off the ledge here. Tell me I'm way off base on thinking that this is a bad thing.
No, you're not. It's a terrible thing. I think one of the tricks I often use is like if I see that Magic Kingdom is closing early because there's a party, like, and I'm not going to the party. I'll go there during the day because it's usually not as busy, and then go somewhere else at night. But now when you have this happening with like every single park, like what are people going to do in the evening? I think, go back to your resort pool, do something like that. Not a pleasant evening. I think what you should do if you find yourself there and having purchased a ticket and the park is closing early and you're going there during the day, you should go to guest relations and say, I didn't realize this was happening. And maybe you get an extra park hop, get something additional. They're not going to do this, but I bet if you go and complain, you'll get something.
Wouldn't that be funny if because of this show, everybody went and like knocked on the door of guest services and said, hey, we heard there's this lawyer lady and she told us that if we come and complain to you, that we can get something free. That would be awesome if that happened.
Not actual legal advice. Just
sorry, not trying to get you in trouble here. I'm just saying it would be funny. But I just, again, that's one of those things, just like we were talking about hotels in the past and the Grand Floridian and all the different things that are shut down there. And I'm not trying to like hate on it, but if you are closed down so much of the experience and you're still charging me full price, like what are you giving me in return? Rob, would you want to meet up at EPCOT that night?
Sure. This doesn't bother me.
Okay.
It doesn't. What is it? A Thursday night, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
you're already busy that night.
You're right. I am. Actually, that might be the night we're off. But regardless, I'm going to horror nights that night probably then. But it doesn't bother me. Like back in the day, I used to work the backlot tour when it was open, and I remember they would close it was the Streets of America at the time, often for events, and sometimes the park. There's plenty of things to do at Disney. If you are the rare person that bought the one-day ticket, no park hopping to Hollywood Studios that day, then yes, I would make a change, and I am sure they will accommodate you. But I have a feeling most people have park hopper tickets or they have annual passes. I mean, they're going to shut down and make their money now and then. I don't see. There's plenty of other things to do. That's just not your Studios day. And if you don't want to get a Halloween party ticket, it's not a Magic Kingdom day. But there's plenty of stuff to do. Come see me at News Tonight if we're doing it. You know what I mean?
No.
There's something going on.
Yeah, sad news. It's actually a Tuesday night. Sorry. So
but even better, honestly. You know what I mean? Though, like, let's be honest. That they're not as crowded on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, I guess I get that. I think there are a lot of people who don't dig in and look into it as much as we do, and that's why I'm saying really for the people who buy the one-day ticket. I get what you're saying about annual pass holders. I mean, we know those things are going to happen, but for the people who buy the one-day ticket and they're like, oh, cool, the park's closed at 5. And the event you're talking about, I remember the events you were talking about where they would close down, because we used to do some radio events back in that area where they would just close down that back lot area and then have a private party, but only in that section of the park. So the rest of it was still open. So I mean, I don't know, maybe it's okay, and I get it. Like I said, you could talk me off the ledge on that one. That's fine. I just, the fact that they're not giving you some kind of a discount or some kind of an allowance for that day, and I hope they're making it pretty clear to everybody and not just marking it on the calendar, just so that the person who doesn't usually travel that day, like, are your travel, like, if you've never been to Disney and this is the day that you go to Hollywood Studios, does a travel agent tell you that? I don't know. They should. So.
Well, and did you buy a one-day ticket to that park, Rob? Did you like just specifically one day to Studios? Like, that's rare, I think.
Yeah, you're right. That is rare.
Can I throw shade and say that there's not enough to do at Hollywood Studios from park rope drop to 5 p.m. anyway?
I
Sorry,
guess you can throw that shade, but it also gives you less of an opportunity to ride Rise of the Resistance. I wonder if they will cap how many lightning lanes that they sell that day, so that it doesn't affect how many people get to do standby that day. I don't know. I'm sure they did the math. Although I say that, did they do the math? Maybe. It's fine. Well, everybody's going to be fine. I'm sure no one will complain. But if they do go to guest services, I would love to hear. Let's move on to Trader Sam's. Everybody loves Trader Sam's, right? Trader Sam's is a fun thing. As a matter of fact, I was looking at some of the cool stuff that we've been announcing about Trader Sam's. There's now this Sam's Chip and Dip Bowl set available. So, Allison, I'm going to need you to buy that for me because I know you love buying stuff. And then this right here, this Trader Sam's Enchanted Tiki Bar bag is available at Disneyland Resort. All these are nice and good things, but there was this third edition of the Tiki mug for Trader Sam's.
Show it.
I don't have it. Did you think I had it?
No, but you can show the picture of it. It's
Oh, the
beautiful.
picture. No, no, it's absolutely
Beautiful.
it's a cool yeah, here it is. We've been
Oh my
talking about this
gosh.
a little bit. It's a third edition of this Hatbox Ghost Tiki mug. It's $75, but it's this 5.5 hour line that was happening. Now, it was nice of them to put out water and everything, but this is not a Disney thing. This is just a crazy thing. I don't have many tiki mugs. I have this one. It was from a hippopotami tie. I waited in no lines for this because there were several available. But this thing is crazy. 5.5 hour wait for a tiki mug. Rob, tell me how many things you wait 5.5 hours in line for, just off the top of your head.
Honestly, nothing. I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm not merch crazy in general, and I'm not gonna wait in a line like that. I'm not gonna wait in a line like that for Guardians of the Galaxy, the Cosmic Rewind, the first weekend it opens. I'm not gonna wait that long. That's just
Oh
me.
man, yeah. Well, I mean, and again, you're there. So, I mean, you can go, look, I may go in a month, and if they just happen to have one sitting on the shelf, I'll get one. But, if not, no big deal. But
It's
Alicia,
expensive.
yeah, $75. And people were waiting 5.5 hours in line and maybe didn't get one. That's the thing, too. I'm going to save Allison for last. She's in the back pocket for last. So I think she said she didn't want to talk about this, but I definitely want to hear what she has to say about it. But Alicia, what you would wait gladly for this, because I know you're a Haunted Mansion stan.
I would gladly wait for this. I waited 5.5 hours last week for cards, which we'll talk about later. So I mean, I'm not waiting in line isn't gonna be the thing that stops me here. And like that statue, the mug is just gorgeous. The art that they did on it, it's perfect. I'll be out in Disneyland in a couple of months, and I just can't wait to like get my hands on anything from their Trader Sam's because I need all of it. That chip and bowl set, it's coming home with me. If I could get a Hattie, I'm sure it'll be sold out. I like anything, I'm there. I'm good. I want it.
Did you say a Hattie? Is that what you said?
Hattie! That's his nickname!
Okay.
Hattie.
All right. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just asking. I didn't know y'all were
I
that
will
tight.
teach you the lingo, Rob. I got you.
Aw, thank you so much. Allison specifically said she didn't want to talk about this. So, Allison?
No, no, no. This stuff, I don't understand this. This is so much money and so long to wait for something that, like, I think that if somebody were to wait for it, they're probably not even going to drink out of it. Probably going to sit on a shelf. I really don't understand this. Also, I don't understand that purse. What can you fit in that purse? It is such a weird shape. It's hideous. And it's round. And wait, you can't put a wallet in this. You can't put a cell. What is that? I'm sorry. I don't like to rain on everybody else's parade, which is why I said no, Rob, to these
I know.
topics.
I can't.
But
But
if you're
it's
gonna
only
force
that.
it, then I'm just.
So
It's gonna
here's
happen.
how I think the day played out. You stand in line for 6 hours. You get up there. You don't get the mug because it's sold out. So you go, look, I got $75 in my hand. I go over and buy the
Trader
purse.
Sam's.
I go buy the purse, and so because the purse was
Oh.
also $75. So either way, you win.
That is
Um,
$75. It's like.
okay, you're right. We'll move on. We'll move on. All right. So the Haunted Mansion. Maybe you guys have heard of it. The Haunted Mansion reopened after a few days, and we knew that the Hatbox Ghost was not going to be available at the Haunted Mansion, but there were a couple different things that were tweaked and updated inside the mansion. Rob, have you been yet since they've made these changes?
No, I haven't been since the constant closings and reopenings and the little things.
Well, I mean, the morning that it opened late, and we had the entire, I think, reporter staff standing outside, tackling cast members, asking them when the thing was going to open so that they could get inside. But it looks like that there were a couple things that got updated inside. That the mummy inside of the Haunted Mansion was tweaked a little bit and looked a little bit brighter, and but no Hatbox Ghost, no Hattie, as Alicia would say. So, Alicia, I'm going to go to you on this one because I have a very important question to ask you.
Okay.
And I don't want to blow your mind because I haven't heard anybody talk about this before. So I know you're going to have the right answer for me. You ready?
Okay.
If the Florida Haunted Mansion had 999 happy haunts and we add the Hatbox Ghost, does it now have 1,000? Go.
Actually, I have heard people talk about this, at least on like the crazy like subreddits that I'm on for Disney. Um, and I mean, I don't think that like Disney's addressed it. In my opinion, it would be at 1,000. So maybe a ghost has to, hit the retirement ghost home. Maybe they'll make a really sad story and say, whoever decided to leave us and they're traveling down the ghost road and he's the ghost that's following you home. Actually do that. That would be freaking adorable. Make it the ghost that follows you home.
I think Rob, yeah, and there's been a picture of him inside there, so I think they'll probably just say he's never materialized before. Wouldn't you say that?
Oh, who's that? The Hatbox Ghost?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, listen, he's coming. It's going to be a nice thing to add. That's all we're waiting for with all these mansion updates. They keep drawing attention to it and keeping us waiting, but we just want the Hatbox Ghost. That's what we want.
Yeah. Allison?
So can we talk about Madame Leota actually and her hair?
Yeah.
This ride opened in 1969, and somehow in 2023 they made her hair more 70s than it's ever been before, and it makes me exceedingly happy.
Okay, that's it. That's all you wanted to say. That just
That's
her
it.
hair is very 70s and you love it. It's
Yes.
Madame Leota Farrah Fawcett hair.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that an old,
It's amazing.
too old a
It's
reference? I don't know.
feathery. It's
Yeah.
not at all. We all get the Farrah Fawcett look is classic.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to talk about Halloween at the Magic Kingdom. There have been a lot of updates to Halloween. They were getting everything ready, obviously, for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, which we're going to talk about in a second. That took off this past week. But we've got the Mickey pumpkins are up. There's new Jack Skellington necklaces. There's more merch for Rob and for Allison to buy. This came up. And I can't even tell you how many people like tagged me on Twitter and was like, Rob, you need to get this. And I'm like, okay, here's the thing is like, it's like serving me a drink. Like, I should stay away from this kind of thing, but I get it. And I appreciate everyone who did. There's nothing much different about this sipper than the original Donald sipper that was out there before. And this is not a party exclusive. This is just a Halloween exclusive. But I think that his candy corn in his bucket is, instead of being green, is now purple. And there's a new strap.
That's literally it. Yeah, that's it.
So, I mean, here it is. It's just a little bit different. But, while some little part of me gets triggered to go, maybe, the rest of me is going, no. I don't need to have two of these sitting side by side playing Highlights magazine with anybody that comes into my house going, guess what the difference is? Which one's different? Rob, you're not an actual, you said you're not a merch guy. Does that mean you don't love popcorn buckets and sippers?
No, because I don't understand what people do with all of them when they're home. You just keep buying and buying and buying, and then where do you put them? I don't get it. Just somebody tell me what you do with all this stuff.
The decor in my house
Thank
is
you.
popcorn buckets and sippers.
Yes.
We're constantly talking about like the prices of tickets and all this other stuff. When are they going to reach that level where they've made so much merch nobody wants to buy it, because we don't need 19 different versions of a similar thing for $75 or whatever. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it is absolutely nuts, and yet I will buy many more. It's definitely
That's why they
a
do
problem. Yeah.
We have a
all right.
chronic problem. And Rob
Yes.
and I, we need merchandise, anonymous or something. You need to pry the plush from our cold hands.
Somebody said to
It's a
me
problem.
that getting that admitting that you have a problem is the first step in getting help, and I said I'm not ready to admit that yet. So we'll get there some point, but not yet. So this is cool though. Mickey has a costume now. He's got this little mask going on in the flowers. That's kind of a neat twist that I'm not sure have we seen that before, Rob?
I don't think so. I don't remember ever specifically that, and I do like that. That's the type of stuff, the little details. Add something like that. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Allison, do you need the Celebration of Flavors in the fall apple fritter milkshake at the Magic Kingdom? Is this on the list of things that you have to have? An apple fritter milkshake.
No. In fact, as I was looking at like pretty much all of the snacks, I was like, I don't want any of these. That milkshake looked probably the most appetizing, but a lot of them are just like too much. The cupcakes looked okay. Yeah, this doesn't look like something I want to ingest. It's not even particularly like Instagrammable. Like it's just like that's not appealing to me. Yeah, the cupcakes were okay, but everything else just like looks super artificial or just like way too much. And I love sweets. I have such a sweet tooth that I like ice cream flavors and cakes that have like all sorts of things in them. But like this stuff is just it's over the top, and like I feel like if I had like in the entire portion of a lot of these, I would be sick the entire night. So I have no interest in any of this, and also no interest in the merch. So I just like the decor. I'm here for all of the.
I feel like we've got this separation
the
between the left and the right here, between the give me some sippers and tiki mugs, and the let me just look at the pretty things, which is fine. That's great. We have a good mixture on the team here. Alicia, what were you going to say about it?
Well, it's interesting, and Allison, I agree with you. So I'm normally the one that's like, oh, I want the sweets and stuff, but I've been, lucky enough to cover food at this site for many a years now, and Halloween and Christmas snacks at Magic Kingdom have always been kind of weak. Honestly, it's always like the EPCOT food is where you want to go, and maybe that's like a hot take, I'm not sure. But as much as I've like written about this stuff over the years, nothing has ever really come out as like a crazy positive or whatever. It's just like, oh, it's fine. Oh, it looks good. Oh, this stained my teeth purple. There's never anything that's been like, oh, this is our standout. And even if it is the best of the night, if you compare that against like an EPCOT like food and wine snack that might be our favorite, it's gonna fall below that. So I don't know. I guess I just like party food's just kind of weak. It's weird.
Okay. One last one I got to ask you about, and Rob, I'm going to throw this one to you. The spicy strawberry jalapeno tombstone. Is that on your list?
This is what I was hoping you were going to show me, because if there is something I spend money on in the parks, it's food. This thing is a jalapeno jam inside. I'm not going to go there for it, but if I'm walking in Magic Kingdom and I'm hungry and I'm too far away from the egg roll cart, the spring rolls, maybe I'll try that tart. I'm curious about that jam.
Okay. That makes sense. You know what? It does look like a tasty treat, but that's the kind of thing when it pops open that I look at and I go, wait a minute, is that good, or are they being weird just to be weird?
Gotta find out.
Yeah.
I feel like those flavors in a cocktail would be outstanding.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give the panel a break here because we are going to go to our correspondent who is standing by to talk to us about actually having boots on the ground at the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And it's our good friend, Allie. How are you, Allie? I don't hear you, though. I don't know if you're muted or if I've done something terribly wrong here.
Nope, I was muted. I was trying to not be distracting. All right. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So you went to the Halloween party. So you're our Disneyland person, but you went all the way to the East Coast to go to the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. Now, you and I have gone to Oogie Boogie before and compared like how much we love Oogie Boogie. So I'm not going to ask you to compare it to that, but I do want to know what was your overall vibe of this party, and then we can get into specifics after that.
Overall, I actually had a really, really good time. I did the party, I think, back in 2018 or 2019, and it was okay, but I left kind of feeling like probably wouldn't want to do it again. But enough time had passed, so when knew I was going to be here for opening night, and that we were covering it, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go and go be helpful. But no, it was a really good time. The shows were good. There was a ton of characters, and I'm surprised you didn't ask me to grab you one of these. But super cute.
Wait. We got to come back to that. We got to come back to that one. So this is the big thing that when it popped up again, I had a lot of people that reached out to me and were like, "Hey, Rob, you're going to need this." And I said, "Yes, I do," because I'm a huge Nightmare Before Christmas fan. And so when I saw that, I was like, "That looks amazing." So this is for you, right? Normally you have to buy these things for me when you're on the West Coast, or for Tom, but in this particular case, this is just for you to take home. Like, are you addicted now?
It's a little bit of a problem, but yes, I did buy one for me, and of course Tom had to get one, and another friend needed one, and Alessa got one. But yeah, I like it. His head moves, and they did a good job with it.
How many are you taking back? How many are you taking back to California?
I'm only taking one. I got rid of everything else, so this is just me and one Sam's mug, and that's all I'm taking home.
Okay. Yep. All right. So no, obviously the popcorn bucket was a big deal. It's only available during the party. I wonder though if it'll come to Halloween time in California, because usually California gets the cool buckets and then we get them on the East Coast afterwards.
Yeah, I'm gonna be surprised if we don't get this at Disneyland, but
gotcha.
I feel it's giving me vibes when I get it.
So you and I talked a little bit about the overlays. One of those things that I love again about California is the overlays, like the Monsters After Dark that they add, or the Haunted Mansion holiday, or Ghost Galaxy, or things like that. Were there any that stood out? Was there anything? I know that they like turn the lights off in Space Mountain. Is there anything else that was going on that you could see? In the past, they've done like live pirates inside of Pirates of the Caribbean. Nothing like that.
No, so yeah, when I went, what was that, 5 years ago, they did have the live pirates in the queue and on the ride. This year they did not have that. They had some pirates just out, kind of outside the pirate ride, but not actually in the ride. So I'm not sure what the reasoning for that was. And then Haunted Mansion, they had the live actors again outside of there, out in the graveyard like they always do. And then Space Mountain, they just turn the lights off. So it's just a different experience without all the stars and everything. But
I got you.
Still,
okay.
Yeah, not as good as the overlay or Ghost Galaxy. But, I mean, at least they're trying to do something.
Yeah. So here's a fear I've had, because I haven't been to Mickey's Not So Scary in a year or two maybe, but I used to love it. But it got to a point where it was always so crowded at a hard-ticketed event that you pay extra to go to. It was so crowded that you really kind of had to choose a track. I'm going to meet the characters. I'm going to the photo spots. I'm going to the overlays. I'm going to the snacks. Was it crazy crowded? Because you were there on a sold-out night. It was the very first night.
Yep. It was packed. It was surprisingly more crowded than I thought it would be. Like you had mentioned, you kind of have to choose a track. So it worked out for me for coverage wise. Like I wanted to see the shows because I didn't see the shows last time. I'm not a big character fan, but I did wait 2 hours to meet the Seven Dwarves. So I would suggest if that's something you want to do, line up for that immediately at 4 o'clock after you get your wristband, and then the dwarves start meeting at 6:15. So that's one, if you don't mind just sitting there and waiting, you can at least get that one out of the way. But you cannot do everything. Like the mobile order wasn't working for a lot of the food, so the food lines were horrendous. The wait times looked, I mean, shorter than normal, but still kind of long depending on what you wanted to do. Jack and Sally got up to, I think, a 3-hour wait to meet them. So, I mean, if that's on your list and you're waiting 3 hours, that's a good chunk of your night. So, like even the shows, like we did the first Hocus Pocus show. That wasn't too crowded. I mean, the fireworks you can watch from anywhere, but yeah. So you really kind of gotta, we have all the coverage up. So look at what things are going to be your priority, and you're not going to be able to do everything.
And again, in California, it's really weird because Jack and Sally the line doesn't get that crazy. I feel like
they're
for
out
Jack and Sally. Yeah. But I again, the meet and greet stuff is a huge deal. I know that I was talking to Jake earlier, a good friend Jake, and he was like, well, why aren't you talking about Elvis Stitch? Like, isn't that what everybody really has tuned in here tonight to see about? So there's Elvis Stitch. Did you get to meet Elvis Stitch?
I did not get to meet. The only character I met was the Seven Dwarves. Other than that, I was stationing to be in line for the shows and whatnot. But, I mean, yeah, there's Vampire Mickey. Yeah, Jafar was out. And a lot of these, like, if you don't really like need the whole meet and greet experience, like for me, I'm content just to blow by. I saw Stitch from afar, but like for me, I'm content to just say, "Oh, look, there's the Mad Hatter or whatever," and snap a photo and move on with my day.
Oh wow!
I
Did you
don't need
snap this photo and move on with your day? Did you literally,
I actually did
legitimately
not
snap
do
this
that
photo?
one. I did see them
What
though.
what did you call Tweedledee and Tweedledum when you and I were talking about this?
The twins, something, the creepy
Like
twins.
the creepy twins, yeah.
The
But then
weird creepy twins.
here's Stitch, and he's a devil in disguise, I think, is what he is.
Yeah.
That's an Elvis song. Anyway, yeah, I agree. Like that's what I've seen in the past is that especially Jack over off to the side, and that was before it was
Yeah.
Jack and Sally. They used to do a meet and greet over off of Liberty Square, and you would have to go and you would see this line winding around to get them. So that was a thing. But some of the things that we saw huge lines for online or like on social media were the snacks. And, one of the comments from WDW and T was like, these huge lines for snacks, the exclusive party snacks, but maybe it's because night one, there's so many influencers there and everybody's got to get that shot. Were you able to, I know you said that was not your track, but were you able to try any of the snacks or did you see any of them?
I didn't. I did talk to, because Tom and Eric did all the snacks, but I did talk to them yesterday. And they said that everything was actually very good. I feel like Tom's pretty particular and doesn't like much of anything. And I think he said almost all of it was good or very much improved. So I feel like, if there's stuff in there that you're interested in trying, check out our reviews and see if it's worth your time. I agree with you. I think there were a lot of influencers and everybody there on that opening night that has to get the popcorn bucket, has to do the meet and greets, has to get the shows, has to get all the food. So hopefully this will all calm down for everybody out here. But the
Do you
fact that
consider
like some of it's not on mobile order is just like wild to me.
do you consider yourself one of the many park influencers?
No.
Fair. So let's talk about this because like the treat trails again, not to compare it to Oogie, we're not going to do that. But when I go to a hard stop shoving these things in my face. When I go to a hard ticketed event, that's one of the things I try to scam is to figure out how can I make up my money. If it's one of those after hours, Disney after hours, it's like they give you the free popcorn and the free popcorn and drinks and I'm just like,
Oh, I
how
got
many?
that last night at Typhoon. Yeah.
Yeah, how many can I do all together? So for this one, the treat trails, though, it looks like the treat trails were a little bit maybe better this year. I know that we had a story on the website about them having using scoops so that they would evenly scoop out all of the treats to everybody. Did you find that there were more treats in your bag than you were used to seeing, or?
I only went through about 3 of the treat trails. I'm not a huge fan of candy, so that wasn't something that was like a huge priority for me. But if I saw one, I, went on it. They had the scoops, but I feel like even with that, like some of the scoops were way more full than some of the other people scooping. So it still wasn't like an even amount every time. But I mean, there's no limit to how many times you can walk through those treat trails. So if that's your jam, just keep going through till your bag's full. Um,
Well, I mean, that is
yeah,
my jam. Is
yeah.
again, like I said, is to make sure that I get every dollar's worth of my my candy from the whole thing. So, all right. So the entertainment, the
Yes.
fireworks, the parade, the cadaver dance. What was the one that stood out to you? And had you done them all before?
Mm-mm. No, my
So
first time
you've
for
never
all of
seen
it.
Boo to You.
Seen the end of Boo to You when we were leaving the first time. So no, I'd
Gotcha.
never seen it.
And was it awesome? And what was your favorite?
I actually really liked the Hocus Pocus show. I thought that one was fun. The actors were really, really good. They were all in character. And then Oogie Boogie comes out, and then all the villains come out, and there's like some mini fireworks, 20-minute show, good view from anywhere in the hub. Like, I thought that was a really well done show. I would definitely make time for that. There's 3 different shows. The last one is at midnight, so that's as the party is done. But you can stay in the hub, watch the show till 12:20, let some of the crowd clear out, and it was way less crowded. I thought the fireworks were really, really good. I didn't realize there's that whole Jack Skellington puppet thing that comes out. That's cool. So if that's important to you, I would try to get obviously closer to the front to be able to see the puppet. But yeah, it was a cute show for the fireworks. I liked it.
That's definitely important to me.
My joke on Boo to You was that it's the slowest moving parade I've ever seen. Holy crap.
Well, so if you're trying to enjoy the parade, that's probably more fun than you're trying to capture the parade. Because if you're there to try to capture the parade, you're like, I've taken 19 pictures of the gravediggers. Please move on so that I can take pictures of whatever's behind them. I get that, but I've always enjoyed that. Like that music, like has residence in my brain. It owns real estate. That Happy Halloween and the loop back through it. I mean, I had missed that greatly. Yeah. Got to see it when it came back, the first time it came back, and was really excited about that one. So definitely missed the Boo to You parade. That's probably one of my favorites, although Magic Happens is definitely number one right now. Just throwing that out there. Thanks for going to that one with me. So we talked about the characters, the treats, and the overlays or lack thereof. And then, of course, the entertainment. Did you go in costume?
No, it was 100 degrees.
Doesn't really seem like a good excuse.
No.
August 11th, you should have been, you should have been in like heavy Jedi robes and, really just going all out. I'm a little disappointed. Was anybody on our staff in costume?
No, like Nana had some green on to be, Tinkerbell, and I had a Splash Mountain shirt to be, a ride that used to exist. But there were some people in really good costumes, and props to them for, wearing dresses and layers and all the things. But I didn't see as many people like fully in costumes as I feel like you're going to see later into the parties. It was ridiculously hot, so.
Okay, that's fair.
Hydrate. It was bad.
Yep. Okay, so after we've talked about all those things, anything we've missed or any final thoughts from you about would you recommend going? Or obviously you wouldn't recommend going on August 11th when it's sold out, it's all influencers, it's hot as Hades and not the good Hercules kind. But what are anything we missed or any final thoughts on the party?
Like, I'm happy I went. It's not something I think I would do every year, but it's like, I was here. If you have kids, people that really like Halloween, people that really like candy, people that like, the villain characters and stuff, I think it's worth going at least once. Probably later in the season when it's a little bit cooler and, like you said, the influencers are gone. And the parties are a little bit cheaper, I think in September and early October. So, I mean, if it fits in your budget, I think it's something fun. The shows are great. The characters are great. If it's not something you're super interested in, I think you can skip it and not feel really, really bad about it.
So Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is scary because of how hot it is and how expensive it is, but it's a fun time.
It's a fun time.
If you've never been, go, but nothing's hugely changed from the past.
No, there's a couple new characters in the parade. We lost a few characters in the parade. Everything else seemed to be pretty much the same other than the new popcorn bucket and some of the food. So if you went last year, you probably don't need to feel guilty about not going this year.
And if you could get somebody to go and get you the popcorn bucket, then you're solid. You don't need anything else, right?
Exactly. Or buy it off eBay for $300.
Is it really? Is it already $300?
I think people were saying, a couple hundred.
But we were talking about it earlier, like how expensive things have gotten in the parks. But how expensive? I can't even remember how expensive it's. Like 30 some bucks for the popcorn bucket.
This one I think was 32. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. All right. Well, Allie, I appreciate you giving us an update, of boots on the ground of what was going on at the Halloween party. So thank you for doing that. Please stay hydrated.
I will.
I know that going from coast to coast, this traveling for you, you probably aren't used to having to bring a water bottle into the park, but stay hydrated with water. Water. You're hearing what I'm saying, right?
What else would I
water.
do? I would never do anything else.
Stop it. That's awful. Awesome. Well, enjoy your time in Disney World, and we'll talk to you again later. So everybody, don't forget that if you are interested in going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and I'm not getting a cut out of this or anything for saying this, but you should get your tickets now. They've already sold out all of them for August and some of the dates in September and, of course, into October. So it's going to be going through November 1st. If you're interested, you should go check it out. One of the other things that we want to talk about today is a new topic, a new feature that we've come up with that's called Not PC Disney. And it's not what you would think it would be. It is on ParksCenter. We all talk about things that are in the parks. That's what we talk about. And instead of talking about something, we're going to talk about something that's Disney that is not a park thing because it really didn't have another place to be. And Alicia had given us a little bit of a tease earlier about that. So we're going to talk to Alicia about Lorcana. So Alicia, you went to the Gen Con and you got to see firsthand some craziness when it comes to Lorcana. Will you explain, first of all, to anybody who doesn't know what Lorcana is?
Absolutely. So Lorcana is a new Disney trading card game. To my knowledge, there hasn't been one quite like this before. For people who are like familiar with games like that or maybe don't know, think like Pokemon or Magic of the Gathering. So it's a game where you'll buy cards and then you'll make a deck and then you'll play against your friends. And I've been playing since I was able to get product, which was last week. And it's a really fun game, so I'm really excited for it. The game will be coming, well, the product will be available in the parks starting August 18th, which I believe is this Friday.
It is.
So yeah, you'll be able to get it in Disney World or Disneyland. I guess stay tuned to the website because they haven't announced at what stores they'll be available at yet. But they did do a pre-release at Gen Con, so I went for the website. We were super diligent. We waited in line for many hours, went through a mob experience, but we got the cards. And I have about 6 boxes sitting in my living room to ship back to Florida. So we were successful at least.
I'm a little jealous. So the first time that I ran into Lorcana was when I was at D23, and I may have told some people this in post show last week. Is I was at D23, and again, this is something that's not PC, it's not the parks, but it is something that I think that Disney people might love. And so one of the things before I go any further that I would like to do is, I believe, if I have this done correctly, let me just see. I have a poll that I've set up, and I would be interested in knowing from the people in the chat what your feeling is about Lorcana. So do a pound 1 if you can't wait to play, like actually play the game. Pound 2 if you're just collecting for the cards. Pound 3 if you are like, I am not interested in the least in this game. Or 4 if you've never heard of it, because I had not heard of it when I went to D23, but when I was out there I had people that were messaging me going, hey, if you're there, can you get me those Lorcana cards, as if it was no big deal. And we would queue up in the morning and we would go in, and every morning for 3 mornings straight, nothing. Like they were gone like that, because everyone was out there trying to get these Lorcana cards, and you had a little bit of that going on while you were out there. I know that you shared this video with me, where all these people.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm going to turn off the audio. Were all these people in line for Lorcana cards?
So that was just, I believe, at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. So the convention center, we were in the Indianapolis Convention Center. Product was officially available Thursday morning, which would have been August 3rd. August 3rd. And the convention center opened at 6 o'clock in the morning. The vendor hall, which is where product was available, opened at 10. There were people waiting outside the convention center at 2 o'clock in the morning. They did not sleep. They were just waiting for doors to open. That way they could make their way down to where, the hall opened. So I got there probably around, I'm going to say 5:50. A little bit, 5:30. They opened the doors at 5:50. We went and waited in line. It was a regular queue. You could kind of see in that video, it was like a Disney queue essentially. Gen Con employees came out and they were kind of adjusting the line, creating more switch box to create more room. There had to have been hundreds and hundreds of people waiting. And it wasn't until well, we assumed that we'd be able to open the doors and walk in and go and purchase product. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. Some employees came out, they ripped the line apart. They said we don't do pre-order like lines essentially, and they created what was a mob. And at like probably 9:30, you were smushed in with 30,000 other people waiting for the doors to open and rush your way into the vendor hall. I had like no control of my body. I was just riding along like someone's backpack. My significant other and I got ripped apart. His feet were lifted up and he was essentially carried forward. Our reporters, Lucas and Allison, if people are familiar with our Florida team, Allison unfortunately got injured in like kind of the whole ordeal. She got
Whoa.
smashed into the doors. Yeah. She got the wind taken out of her. Her glasses fell off her face. She was getting trampled, so she couldn't pick them back up. So she ended up making an incident report, and she was only number 3 of the day. It like turned out to be like a very dangerous situation. They did figure their issues out. There were talks that maybe the fire marshal got involved later on in the day and said, "Hey, this can't happen again." And they figured out the lines after that. They created very orderly lines, and you were able to wait at 6 o'clock p.m. overnight to 10 a.m. and then they would walk the line inside. And I mean, every single day the line was out the convention center and wrapped around the block. And that was just, if you wanted to get cards, that was what you had to wait in. So people are really excited about this game. I'm really excited to see what the release looks like in Florida. Yeah, but that's them. So we got everything I think that was available at the booth after waiting and so many lines. Those are 3 of the starter decks. So if you don't feel like constructing a deck, they do have ones that are available, and they've got, everything that you need to play the game inside them. And then, of course, that there are booster boxes or single packs that you can buy to help fill in those decks or make your own.
So I'm astounded that I feel like a lot of people have not heard of this before, and some people have
Sure.
been like waiting with bated breath for these things, and it's just hard to determine what's going to happen. I have a local card shop. It's just a hole in the wall card shop. I went to them. I was like, "Are you guys getting this?" And the guys were, "Well, I don't know what." Like I heard, and one other person asked about it. Went to
Yeah.
like my local game theory shop and was like, walked in. And I was like, "I don't really know how they're going to take this." And I said, "This may be a dumb question, but are you going to get Lorcana?" And the guy goes, "Yep." And I
Oh,
go,
there you
"Okay."
go.
And I go, can I pre-order? He goes, "Uh-huh." And I was just like, after seeing all the footage from what you guys went through,
Yeah.
I was like, I was ready for him to laugh me out of that shop. But I mean,
Yeah, I'm shocked.
but again, I think there will be some people who will want to play this the way that Pokemon is played, and some people will
Yeah.
want to collect them the way that Pokemon cards are collected, or that you would collect regular trading cards, because already they've become so valuable, and people are going to be chasing them and trying to figure out, like, trying to complete their sets. And I assume that there are special variants of certain ones. I know that I have a Mickey as a brave little tailor that I got from D23 that is like, I saw it online for $500, and I'm like, I like money. I should sell that, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm like, I'll never get another one of these again, so I'm holding on to it. And I think they did the same thing with, like, it was at a Three Musketeers Mickey.
Yeah, we had a Mickey card, so I ended up walking away with 4 of them, which was really exciting. But again, I mean, they're going for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Same with all the products that we were able to get early. I saw people just flipping it, which, is just another bigger reseller conversation, right, that we have to deal with in the parks. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm really excited to play the game. Ben, Harris, and I, who used to host ParksCenter, we were able to create a Learn to Play video when we were in Gen Con. So that's on this channel, so you should go and search it and check it out. We go through all the rules of how to play. We play an entire round, so you can kind of see how the game works. And we're starting a podcast, and the first episode should be out hopefully this week.
Nice.
So make sure to stay tuned for that. I know we're really excited. I think it's a really fun game. The art's great. I'm excited to collect all of it. Originally, when we started to get the cards, I was like, I don't need a full set. And now I'm like, no, actually, I want one of every card. And we're close enough. I think we're only missing like 12, so it really won't be that bad, hopefully.
You and
but I'm
your
excited.
significant other are collecting the cards, you
Yeah.
mean? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's also these mats, these play mats
Yes,
for
the
these.
play
Do you have all of the play mats for this? Because the Mickey Steamboat
No.
Willie one looks pretty cool to me. Obviously
Yeah,
the
so
Maui one.
I can tell you whose are each of these. So the Steamboat Willie is Tom's. The Maleficent one is Allison and Lucas's, and the Maui is mine. We all got each individual one, so we just kind of pulled them open carefully, especially for Tom's, and photographed everything. So we basically got one of everything, and between each other, we were able to photograph all the product that was available.
Okay. This sounds awesome. Thank you for braving the wilds of Gen Con for this, because again, these are very cool. I'm excited for people to for this to get out and see like what people are thinking about it once it gets out there. So thank you for talking about this. We're going to bring back the entire crew now and talk a little bit about a couple more things that have been happening in Disney news, if we can do that and move on, starting with what I'm calling strange stuff. So it came from the parks is not only a feature that I've talked about before, but there's a graphic now. So it's a real thing. It now exists. It came from the parks. There were two stories that came from the parks, and just so you know the genesis of this, I used to call this rap sheet because it was all these little police blotter things that would come through about weird things that would happen at Disney. I know a lot of people were like, oh, of course, Florida, but 90% of the time they were like from New Jersey or somewhere else and just happened to be in Florida doing some strange things. But there were two articles that came out this week. One of them is about a man who's suing because he says that a Disneyland dog, security dog, attacked him. And the other one is one where it's so complicated. It was apparently a guy stole keys out of a stroller and then tried to steal a car. And I have so many questions about that one. But for our panel, I'm going to let you guys each choose one of these to talk about, because you guys have done the homework. You've read the articles. You've set up your arguments, counselor. And I assume that you guys have different stories you want to talk about here. So Rob, you're the first time caller. I want to find out from you which of these articles that you want to talk about.
Oh, the guy who takes the keys from the stroller and goes to the car. Obviously, that was what a great. I don't even know where to start. People find a way to ruin everything. You can't trust people to do anything. So this guy took the keys from the stroller parked by Remy's in France in EPCOT, went all the way back to the parking lot to the guy's car, who I think it said was parked in Crush. Moved the car to a different part of the lot just to rummage through it and take some stuff. Then at some point after this, he got over to Hollywood Studios where they caught him because somebody caught this on a security camera that this guy was doing this whole thing.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Well, and it doesn't sound like he wanted the car, obviously. He just wanted to rummage around through it or whatever. What I don't understand is, how did he know which car? Do we know that? Like, did he walk around the parking lot just hitting, like...
I have two theories.
Talk to me.
I have two theories. Either he saw the people come in and he followed them into the... Like, he saw them later in the park, so then he knew where the car was parked. Or he just went around the parking lot hitting that panic button to see which car went off. That's why I think he moved it right away.
I want that one. I want that story. How did security not, if that's what was happening, how did security not be like, sir, are you okay?
Maybe that's how.
Maybe.
That might be how they started. Maybe that's how they started catching him. That might have been the strange behavior.
Well, I mean, unless he followed the guy in and walked around the park and knew where he had parked, or that he had put it's just so random.
Robin, he's like, wait, what's the longest line in the park? Oh, Remy's, it's 2 hours today? Great, I got 2 hours to take this guy's keys and go to the lot.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems weird. And, I mean, no offense, but it was a Kia. I mean, if you're going to go to this much trouble, get, an Infinity or something like that. I mean, do your homework, That's really what I'm saying from this point. It might have been a really nice Kia. I had a really nice Hyundai at one point, so I get, that there's sometimes you have a really nice version of a car like that. But, take a Rolls Royce. Don't risk... really the message here, folks, is don't risk getting caught for something less than a Lexus. Is basically what I want to say on that one.
Yeah, and if you're going to get in the car and take it, it's the same charge at that point. Once you decided to drive, that's it, same charge.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, but it was a Florida man, by the way. I'm just putting that out there too. Florida man steals keys because it's not. Again, it happened in Florida, but it was also a Florida man that we know. Allison, you're next.
Oh
Which one do you
gosh,
like?
we so don't have enough time for me to talk about the car one, but I'm gonna do this as succinctly as I possibly can. Because very early in my career, I don't do this anymore, but I practiced criminal law for several years, and one of my favorite things is you would read a complaint, and it wouldn't make sense, or this is not a logical thing for someone to do, and then you would go and talk to the person, and you're like, okay, this is still not a good thing for you to have done, but like all things would start to make sense, and the story was always stranger than fiction, and because this the facts here are so weird. I really wish I could talk to this guy and find out exactly what was going on here. But I think my favorite part of this is that this guy had to have entrance to EPCOT to do this. So he had to have some kind of admission to the park. He had to have some kind of ticket to get into the park, and then get the keys to a Kia from a stroller on the complete opposite end of the park, come back. I've lost my car in the Epcot parking lot many times, not recently, but it's happened before. And I have been that person walking around with the clicker to try to find it. It's not easy, even when you know, like, in general, the vicinity where you've parked. So this is like actually kind of amazing. And then of course for him to just like move the car, but not take anything out of it, and then stay on property and go to another park is amazing. And then I'm also like, none of this makes any sense. He's right now he has a public defender. Maybe he's not actually eligible for one, but like they're pretty strict in Central Florida about being eligible to have a public defender, or if you make enough, you have to hire. But this guy somehow had park admission and then like didn't actually steal the car. And I just want to know the backstory of how like all of this came about.
Can we get him on? If anybody knows him, if we could get him on the show, we all have so many questions. I was gonna say, well, maybe he was sitting behind him in the tram. Nope, they don't have trams. Sorry, that's not.
Nope.
That didn't happen. He wasn't like if he was sitting behind him in the tram and like followed him after. No tram. There was no tram. I can't even come up with a good idea. Rob, I think that the whole like walking through the parking lot, just trying to trying to hit that. I've heard also if you hold it up to your chin, you get more distance on it. So try that.
I've heard this. I have heard about this.
What?
Yes.
It's a topic for a post show. It's fine. All right, Alicia, what's yours?
So we're going to talk about an 81-year-old, I have the police report pulled up on the side, sorry, or the OC report, I should say. 81-year-old man, he was from Las Vegas. He is suing Disney over what is being called an alleged security dog attack. It happened in Disneyland. Kind of the gist of the story is saying like he got too close to the dog during like the security screening, and the dog reacted and it bit him on the stomach. So the man is seeking restitution for physical wound, pain, suffering, emotional distress, and the cost of the past and future medical treatment. If you go to our website, we do have the link to the OC Register link. If you click on it, you will see the image of the wound. And I want to warn you, like I am pretty good with blood and gore. I love all of that stuff. I wasn't prepared for what this was going to look like. It's really bad, you guys. He has 2 gaping holes in his stomach, essentially. That's very much like where like a canine, teeth would have gone in. For an 81-year-old man to suffer this, I feel horrible. Like, it's really sad, and I hope that he's okay, and I hope that, I don't want anything bad to happen to the dog because the dog looks cute too. This is just a very terrible situation for like everyone involved. So, like, save the dog, save the man. Let's not
save the cheerleader, save the world.
Save the world.
You're on everybody's side here. You're across the board. You're like, I'm on the guy's side, Disney's side, the dog's side, the dog's best friend. Luckily, he has good representation, though. He is being represented. Come on, that's funny. That's a little bit funny. It's a little bit funny, right? Okay, cool.
It's funny.
All right, just checking. All right, so thank you again. This is one of my favorites. It came from the parks. So that's what it is. Rob, we should have music for It Came from the Parks. What was that little riff that you... Yes, can you just drop that on MP3 and we'll just play it every time we do that? That'd be great. I appreciate it. We'll just add it to your contract, Ryder. We'll figure it out after the fact. Let's talk about AI in the parks. And when this article came in, apparently this is something that Disney has been working on for a while. So it's not something that they went, oh, you know what? SAG-AFTRA has been yelling at us. The writers have been yelling at us about being replaced by robots. Let's just go ahead and start an AI division. I think this started before all of that went down. It is the hot button in any industry these days, is artificial intelligence and how it can help a business be better. I always hope that what they're trying to do is try to like enhance what they're already doing and not replace people. That's the bottom line. But Bryan Cranston was, if you're following the entertainment industry, Bryan Cranston was in Times Square, yelling at Mr. Iger not to replace us by robots. And then we see this article: Disney creates AI task force to explore future use for movies, theme parks, and more. One of the things that I think about initially on this is, obviously from our article, one of the things we talked about on here was something that's on the Star Cruiser. Maybe you've heard of it. It's going away very soon. But it is this droid, which is on the Chandrila Starline D309. D309 is your in-room AI, and it's kind of AI. It's like not really super predictive. It's like if-then statements. If the person says, what are you here for? I'm here for vacation. It hears vacation, and then it responds with this track. So it's not learning AI. But it is one of these things that is an interactive based on what things you give it. And it reminds me, I don't know if any of you guys remember this, there was a website that Burger King had where you could type in what you wanted the chicken to do. Nobody? Awesome. But it was a bunch of if-then statements. It's like, if it's any of these 10 words, then move to this. And that's kind of how the AI was set up for there. But there was also a living character initiative that Disney did back in the day, which was characters like Lucky the Dinosaur, and then Wall-E, and then Muppets Mobile Labs, those things that they put into place where they're bringing characters into the park. I would love to see much, much more of that happen in those ways. It seems like a way for you to be more involved with your character that you love, or the movies that you love. I'm going to go to you on this one first, Allison. Do you see any problems with this? I mean, is it something you'd like to see more of, or are you like the robots are taking over?
My dad right now is like obsessed with The Mandalorian, and he can't stop talking about it. And he was telling me about how they have like Mark Hamill as like a 20-something-year-old. He has no idea how it happened. It's like total magic to him and amazing. But I think like at base, I'm like very concerned for like entertainment purposes, like in movies and TV shows and stuff like that. But in the parks, this is sort of like endless possibilities. So I'm not fearful of it. In the parks, I'm like excited for what this could mean. But please, I hope they use this and compensate the talent that they're using to entertain everybody in whatever the format. Whether it's parks or...
And I think most of it, like if it's something, if it's a robot that's moving around, I'm always looking for the person who is guiding the robot around. I know that, here's Lucky the Dinosaur I was talking about earlier. If you guys don't know, this is this living character initiative, and Lucky the Dinosaur would move through, but there was somebody controlling it. It wasn't just randomly walking through like some Tesla on a tear. It was actually being guided through what needed to happen through the park. So and I love seeing this then, but I don't like, a lot of times they'll introduce something like this, like the Hulk with the big arms that they did, which had a person inside, or Lucky the Dinosaur, and then they disappear forever. Rob, I don't know, did you ever see Muppet Mobile Labs or any of those things? And also, what are your thoughts on this?
I did see all those things. I do like these things in the park. I don't think that this particular type of stuff is not taking jobs away from people. This is going to be very creative stuff, behind the scenes, AI type of stuff. So, I mean, that stuff's going to be cool. I mean, we're going to, on a totally different level, I mean, we're going to destroy ourselves as a species with robots at some point. Let's be honest. If we keep messing around with AI, that's a different story. But that's not what I think this is. This is just trying to give us ways to interact with characters that you necessarily can't just put a person, in a suit or something like that. It's something that they can bring to life differently. So I look forward to seeing that stuff.
Yeah. Alicia?
Sorry, I was muted. I don't know. I have such a really negative view of AI, and I think it's because I am a trained artist. So I see the negatives and how it affects my industry and my peers. So I think for me, I'm just like, no, I don't want the robots to do anything. I want the humans to do it all. And I do understand what you guys are saying, and I'm sure there is, there is obviously a small part of me that's like, I want the creativity in the parks. I want to see, Baby Groot come to life, and like how they have Grogu with Mando. Like I think all of that's really cool. But there's just that big part of me that's just like, I can't support something that could directly kill my industry. I can't have the robots making art and taking away my jobs.
Well, and I mean, and that comes too with like interacting. Like again, like I said, I want it to plus out the experience. If it can be
Right.
something like, there are things like the Potato Head and Roz and some of those things that you see in the attractions where at Disney Land, where DCA, where Roz will like talk to you and you hold up a camera and it says cheese and some of those things like that. And I think some of it happens behind the scenes with somebody controlling it. Some of the stuff is based on the reactions or the things that you do. So I'm really excited to see what comes next, and I think that Disney seems to be on the forefront of what's next. I just, again, I think you're right. I think that you hear AI and you start thinking of it taking people's jobs. I think we need to hopefully see that for the stuff that's happening in the parks, it's going to be a positive thing. But again, we will see. I just thought it was a very interesting thing to have a conversation about. Let me ask you about this one. I labeled it "Hold My Beer" because it made me laugh. But basically, Bell Services is saying that they will not hold alcohol for people anymore. I didn't know that was an option, honestly, and maybe that's because like I'm not ordering enough beer to the hotel room. Maybe is my problem. I don't know where I would order beer sent to there from, but Rob, I mean, I know you live down there, but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this?
So first of all, it's like the way to order it's through like Instacart or anything like that. You can get a delivery of food and stuff like that. That I believe they will hold certain things for you. It doesn't shock me for two reasons: one good one and one selfish one. The selfish one being, why are they can say they don't want to hold your beer, so you go pay for their beer and everything else.
Mhm.
But also, I could see them not wanting the liability. Who knows? You have an underage kid working for you in Bell Services or something that makes a bad decision and some beer goes missing. Like I wouldn't want that liability. I don't think this is a big deal. It doesn't bother me for that reason.
Okay, Allison. I mean, for all the beer you have sent to your room.
I think like if this can like this is going to affect. I mean, it's not a big deal. You just go and get it yourself when it arrives. But like, I think they might have had some instances where people are just like ordering stuff and people maybe with addiction problems who are getting far too drunk and like Disney's not serving them, right? So if they're ordering and paying for drinks at Disney, then a bartender at Disney is serving them. And so you can kind of see like, oh no, it's time to cut this person off. But if somebody's like ordered, like they can always go out and get it, but it's something makes it a little bit too easy to have it in the hotel room that quickly. They just don't want to like facilitate somebody making those poor choices. I don't really know, but I think Rob is spot on as to like the reasoning. Although selfishly, I think like I can imagine when my daughter goes to sleep at night having like a bottle of wine sent and being able to like have that sent up to the room and have dinner with my husband and have a glass or two of wine before we go to bed. And that like would make it a little bit easier if we're doing bedtime, but it's like also not that big of a deal to us. So it doesn't really impact us. And it may help like some kind of dangerous situation or some kind of like really poor judgment situation happening later. So it should be fine.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to say, you can order it. You just have to be there to receive it. They're just not holding it for you.
Right, exactly.
You can also go to the any of like the shops or whatever. Like I was staying at Coronado a couple months ago, and I had to go and get a phone charger from like like the whatever it's called, the Jose whatever shop that they have, Pancheros, maybe that's right. Whatever, doesn't matter. But when I was looking for the phone charger, they've got, like snacks and drinks and stuff. They had the Once Upon a Vine, like bottles of wine. They had, like, I saw like boxes or like 6 packs of Coors Light. Like they have options within your resort if you don't feel like getting anything delivered. So like, if this is a problem for you, like take a gander through the shop because they might have what you're looking for. Or like
Yeah.
Yeah, except they don't have anything I
has a
want in the
bar.
shop, but like
That's fair. That's fair. I get it. I get it.
I don't know
gonna
if
get
you've
my
worked
like
with.
wine shipped from Napa.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if you guys have worked with Allison before, but she is very bougie. So like Once Upon a
God just likes to make
Vine
fun
is
of me.
not
I'm
going to
not
be
really.
something that she picks up and has with her husband. But I mean, to Rob's point earlier, like that means that benefits them, right? Because it's
Yeah.
not like they didn't put a markup on the stuff that's in the in the gift shops and there for your convenience. They have a convenience charge, including the fact that they still. I think this is so funny that they had to start putting a limit on this because a lot of people were using this hack to just have groceries delivered to the hotel. Like, hey, I'm going to be there. I'm flying in. I'm not renting a car. I'm going to get there. I'm going to just have groceries delivered and then have Bell Services take it. I think a lot of influencers were suggesting people do that. Then Disney caught on to that and they started doing a $6 fee for being the middleman inside of that process. So I think part of it was there's probably an influx and they had to like put that fee on it to offset like the trouble that they were going to, but also I'm sure it was taking some money out of their pocket if people would because a box of Entenmann's next time you're in one of the gift shops, just take a look at that versus how much it costs you at Kroger. It's staggering, the difference in prices. So I clearly am the only one going and buying Entenmann's. So Where's Perry? I put this on here because I find this fascinating. I know that when the Heimlich Choo Choo train at Disneyland was dismantled, they for Avengers Campus, they took it and they took part of the train and they sent it off to Pixar and they said, okay, you guys have this. I get that, but I love that Dan Povenmire, the creator of Phineas and Ferb, was able to get his hands on this piece of Americana, which is this Dr. Doofenshmirtz statue that came from the Perry the Platypus Agent P World Showcase adventure. So I don't know. I just think this is cool because I feel like Dan Povenmire and Scott Trowbridge have this like little relationship back and forth. If you guys remember the story where we went to, we talked about how Dan Povenmire brought the new Phineas and Ferb team to Disneyland to, I guess, show off. They rode Rise of the Resistance. It broke down. He just happened to have an Imagineer's phone number in his phone and FaceTimes him and goes, Scott, the attraction's broken. What are you going to do? And so they send him this Doofenshmirtz thing. I feel like Alicia, I feel like that they should start sending some of this stuff to us because I don't know where it sits the rest of the time. But I think the next time that they dismantle something, I would like to have a piece of it. Maybe some of the Kim Possible World Showcase adventure stuff. I don't know, but this is a pretty cool story, right?
No, I think it's super cute. He's back home where he belongs, and not only that, but like the show is getting rebooted, right? So I think it's coming out like either this year or next year. So it's kind of timely too, and I'm sure that he's probably really happy to have something that he worked so hard on, and it got canceled, and now it's coming back, and now he can be like, look at what I've created, and people still like it. It's great for him. Love it.
Yeah, I like that too. But Rob, this is the thing that gets me is that Phineas and Ferb is coming back. DuckTales has been canceled. They dismantled Phineas and Ferb and they're sending the pieces away, and now DuckTales exists and Phineas and Ferb doesn't. Did you ever do World Showcase Adventure with Agent P, and why is it your favorite one?
I've done every version of the adventure, and the Phineas and Ferb one was fantastic. I love everything about that show. It's so well done. I'm so excited that they're rebooting it, and it's great that it's great that they gave it to him. He was I watched the TikTok when it came out, I guess before the article was written. He was so excited to get it. He's somebody who appreciates his craft so much, and he loves what he does. He loves his characters. I don't know. It's a feel good story. It's awesome.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. He does. He loves being part of the Disney company, and I think the same thing about Jodie Benson. Every time you see anything about Jodie Benson, she is so excited to show anybody her cast member card that she is part of the Disney company, and that's awesome. I love that they get that excited about it, and that it's a big deal for them. So I again, if anybody's listening that has a trunk full of this stuff, I would love to have anything from the Agent P World Showcase Adventure sent to my house immediately. That's great. I will make room next to all the popcorn buckets. It's fine. Matter of fact, I would put it up in place of up to 3 popcorn buckets. I'm just going to go ahead and say that right now. and I will send them
Very.
to Allison and Rob so they can have them and start their own collections. It's going to be great. Let's talk about the little things that people do in the parks. I love this story. I love this story because I don't know if you guys have heard there was a Barbie movie. Did anybody hear that that was a thing that happened? Or
What?
yeah,
Just a
yeah,
little.
I know. I know it was overshadowed by the Haunted Mansion movie that everybody went to see.
It was incredible.
Rob, did you see it?
I saw Haunted Mansion and I didn't see the other two yet.
That's okay because Allison didn't go see Haunted Mansion because she
I've
shared
seen
that
none
last week.
yet. It's gonna
The
happen.
panel that I was on last week with these folks, none of them had seen the Haunted Mansion movie. I was like, great, thanks for representing. We really appreciate it.
That's funny.
But what they did
If someone
here,
will watch my kid, I'll go to all three. Please.
Okay.
gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So when the Barbie movie came out and Oppenheimer came out, they came up with this little thing at EPCOT where they make these family trees, and they took the Barbie family tree or um, I guess do you call them family trees? There's something else that they
I think
call
they
them.
call it certificates. I think they call them
Yeah.
certificates there. But crests, if
Uh,
anything. They have family crests. And
Crests.
stuff.
But how smart is this to put Barbie and Oppenheimer crests up here together because of the whole thing where people are comparing these movies, Rob? This is a cool thing. Well, I love these little touches.
Those are the things that I always call the Disney difference. Like that's for people that are in the parks at this time, and if they don't know about this, like it's a cool little Easter egg. I mean, honestly, maybe we all ruin it a little because we share every little thing, so nobody finds it on their own sometimes. But I think that's what's fun. It's like you walk in there, you're like, oh, mom, check it out. Like some kid's gonna find it before the parent, and that's I don't know. It's a magical moment.
Yeah, I honestly don't think we ruin it. I do get what you're saying. Like there are some things that get ruined where people talk about them. There was like the paintbrushes on Tom Sawyer Island that they would put out there, and people would ruin that. But I think for this one, it's a lot of fun if one person in your party knows, and then you keep it a secret, and then when you go, hey, let me show you something, and you go in there and you see it, then they're
Also
like
cool,
blown
yes.
away. Yeah. So I do think it's the kind of thing that I love to see people share. Again, this is lore about the Haunted Mansion, so I'm going to go to you on this, Alicia. I heard that the place setting that looks like Mickey Mouse in the Magic Kingdom Haunted Mansion was done by cast members and was not originally done by was not done by design. Had you heard the same?
Yeah. Every time I'm in there, but I always look for it. And it changes sometimes too, right? Like sometimes when you're looking like at the glass, it'll be the very last spot on the table facing you. And then sometimes it's like the head ghost at the table or yeah, facing more towards the opera, thing. Piano, that word. Boy, we're doing great tonight. Sorry guys. But when I did the Keys to the Kingdom tour like 2017, that was a fact that they brought up on the tour, and they said that it was like cast member maintained, and sometimes Imaginary would go in there and they would like clean up, that area, and then it would go away. So then the cast members would go in that night and like reset it and be like, "No, we want our Mickey back." But I love hidden Mickeys, so it makes me happy.
But again, that's Allison. That's the kind of thing that, like Rob was talking about earlier, about Dan Povenmire loving to be part of the company, and these cast members loving to do these extra touches. And I think these are, I assume, the things that you love to see when you go into the parks as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think what's really special about the Barbie Oppenheimer one is that it's something that like will get people excited who's in your party who maybe is not the biggest Disney fan because it like has nothing to do with Disney, but it's just like really cute and great nod. And hidden Mickeys can sometimes bring people into who weren't ordinarily. So if you show them a little bit of something else that they might have a connection to, and then start pointing out these other little touches, like I think that like can convert a few people.
What do you mean it has nothing to do with Disney? Barbie was in Toy Story. I'm just kidding. No, it's fine.
There we go.
Yeah.
There's a connection. This company is so huge. It actually
Okay,
touches
can you
everything.
tie Oppenheimer and Disney together? I want to hear this connection, Rob.
I do not want to do that. I do not. Let's move on. Let's move on. So the last thing I want to talk about is, and I don't know. So let me tell you why I want to talk about this. This is the Magic Key Disney dance party coming to Disney California Adventure on select nights. So first of all, I love a magnet, and I was about to say free magnet, but I feel like it's built into the price when they start charging me $1,400 for an annual pass. But the Magic Key Dance Party is going to be happening where the Disney Junior Theater is in Hollywoodland from August 14th through August 31st, which is a very short amount of time. But I think this is kind of a cool thing that they're doing for the Magic Key folks. My question is this, and Rob, you have kids. Is it time for Disney Junior Dance Party to go away and us to do something better with that space?
Ooh. My kids are much older at this point, so we don't. Like in here at Hollywood Studios, for example, I kind of avoid that whole section. There's no reason for me to go there, but I don't think it's time to go away because there's always going to be parents with kids that age. So I think selfishly I would say yes, but realistically no.
Okay. Well, Allison, you do have kids that age. So, I mean, is this something that you're like, oh, this is a really cool thing, my daughter loves this, or is this one of those things where you're like, no, we're good. Let's get something else in there?
It's just one, Rob, not kids, just kid. I'm one and done. But I think like there's actually very little in Hollywood Studios that she can do or wants to do. So this is something that is like she's into. We've never made like amazing use of this space. This is like better than some of the stuff in the past. So yeah, I'd like it to stick around. There's like no like shortage of like Disney Plus like kid shows that they can like maybe add different properties to or things like that. But yeah, I'd like to see it stay. Also, my daughter loves a good dance party, especially on a Disney cruise or in our living room or at Hollywood Studios.
If we could get Rob to be in there playing piano and make it a real dance party, then I might change my mind about it. But honestly, when one of the things though that that gets me, and Alicia, maybe you're young enough to have seen the original, is back in the day they used to have like puppet shows in there. Like it was Bear in the Big Blue House, and it was PB&J Otter, and it was like Stanley and that kind of stuff. To me, that was much cooler than the screen dance party thing. That to me was something that was pretty special for kids. But what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm a childless millennial who has furry animals for children, and I don't want children. So for me, this is not, something that's geared for me or anyone like me, and that's totally fine. But I understand the need for this space, especially somewhere in Hollywood Studios where a lot of the rides aren't necessarily for little kids, right? Like, they can't do Tower of Terror. They're not doing Rock and Roller Coaster. Yeah. So you need something to entertain them. Otherwise, it's not just fair. Like, parents wouldn't bring their children there at all. They would just do 2 days at Magic Kingdom versus a day, at Magic Kingdom in Hollywood Studios.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with the fact that, yeah, you need more for kids and families to do together. But I think it needs to be something more geared toward families that little kids can do too. But go ahead.
Let me
Rob.
chime one extra thing in. Sometimes the shows don't keep the kids' attention anymore. So I think the fact that they have a dance party is so the kids can it's a place that the kids can just run their energy out. You got to think like a parent, it's not supposed to entertain you. And honestly, like Rob, you shouldn't go in there with no kids and be dancing with a bunch of toddlers.
Oh, I shouldn't?
It's not for you.
Man.
It's not for you. You know what I mean?
Okay, it's not for me?
But yeah,
come on, man.
You got to think like that. Dude, when my kids were that young, to get them tired out that they took a nap, that then I can go sit in a restaurant and have a meal or do something, like that's a great thing. So it's still for kids first. So give them a place to run their energy out. They don't have like a Honey I Shrunk the Kids theme park land anymore to do it. They got to give them somewhere.
I don't disagree. And again, I mean, I had little kids, and we would go into the original show, and I loved seeing that one. And I do think, like we just said, I think there should be stuff. But something that was mentioned in the chat was Bluey. Like, let's get Bluey up in there, because that's something that would appeal to more people, and it would be a chance to reset that show to something a little bit more current probably than what's in there. But because it's screen based, they can swap out Vampirina with what was the one I'm forgetting? The girl, not Sophia the First.
Doc
Who's
mixed
the
Doc mixed up?
No, it's the girl that I don't know. The little ballerina girl.
Oh, Princess Sophia.
Oh.
Sophia.
No, you're thinking of Fancy Nancy.
Fancy Nancy. That's the one.
No.
That's the one.
None of these can be swapped out. We can only add Bluey.
Why? Because your daughter needs to have all of those there. Is that why?
Oh, she loves all of them. Yeah,
Okay,
Van Bryn
cool.
is huge. Fancy Nancy, also pretty big.
Yep.
Can't get rid of that.
Gotcha. All right, that's all we have for tonight. I want to say thank you to everybody on the panel. Thanks to Allie for like phoning in from Disney World to talk about the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. It is spooky time and it's back, and everybody should celebrate with some pumpkin spice and be basic like me. But I would say, thank you guys to everybody on this panel, and Rob, thank you for being on the first time being on here, and you're going to be playing in the area.
I'm always in the area. I'm at Boathouse most weekends. Check my Instagram or my Facebook. Occasionally at EPCOT in the pub in the UK, and Thursday nights on WDW News Tonight.
Awesome. And we want to give a big shout out to our WIGs. Thank you guys for being WIGs members, our WDWNT Interglobe Society. If you want to be part of our WDWNT family, you can join the Patreon at patreon.com/WDWNT. Thank you guys who are our WIGs members for being with us each and every Sunday night for ParksCenter at 9 p.m. I love talking to you guys here. Love seeing everybody talking in the chat. Care Bear says pumpkin spice isn't around yet in my area. Why should pumpkin spice should be around year round? I mean, I feel like it should be. That's just a thing. But also, don't forget we've got Deep in the Plus this Wednesday night. Allison's going to be on, and we're going to be talking about Into the Woods. If that's the thing you're into, I feel like a lot of people are. So come join us for that. Last week was Kamila. We talked about Kazazimoto Generation Fire, and if you don't know what that is, please watch that show. Our show. It's spoiler free, and then go watch the shorts. They're pretty cool. Alicia will be playing. You and me will be playing Lorcana on Friday when the cards come out. I hope I get my hookup, and then you've got your podcast coming soon. So thanks for doing that, and yeah. And then Allison, I'm going to mail you some popcorn buckets just so you can be part of the team. That'd be great. We for our WIGs members, we have a quick post show after this. So thank you guys for being here, and have a great night and have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye.